Huge fall in NASDAQ and other equity markets, other indices. As you can see, this month is starting with the bang, right? Last night, the market tanked nearly about 1,000 or more than 11, actually 1,100 points on NASDAQ here. It has come from 25,000 territory to 24,000 territory in just few hours. This is a huge move, and as you can clearly see that nothing compares to it. And in recent times, there was no such a big candle created in one day or few hours. This is one of the biggest ones, right? So we can classify this as a correction, huge correction, and an intermediate crash because it has moved by a lot of movements, a lot of points. However, is this the time to buy? Is it a buy a dip opportunity? Or do we need to be cautious because the market can fall even further? Let's look at some of the scenarios by looking at the indices and stay tuned for that. All right, so let's look at NASDAQ. My name is Vic. I'm the founder of Gemsa Capital Management. Thanks for joining me here. I'm going to be starting with NASDAQ, but to look at the whole picture, we should compare the movement on other indices as well. So as I mentioned in the intro that the market tanked nearly 1,000 points, actually more than that. Now, from technical point of view, this is still a correction. Why is it correction? Because the previous momentum, the bullish momentum, is still intact, right? This is if you want to look at this previous low, then it has just stopped there. Now, I won't be surprised if it actually goes below this support, collect the liquidity, and then start to move up. That will still be bullish. So the overall trend on daily time frame, I'm looking at 8 hour, but this can be considered on daily time frame, is still bullish, which means that market is simply, this is nothing but a correction. Although on smaller time frames you can classify this as a crash, okay, or huge correction in very small amount of time. That's what usually crash is about, okay. And in terms of percentage, it has it has fallen down by nearly 50% of this entire previous move. So this obviously classifies as a deep correction or half of the correction of the previous move. Nonetheless, this is still bullish because if you look at the previous legs, this is nothing but as if you see higher highs and higher lows, this is still bullish. So in that perspective, the market can still bounce up from here. Now it remains to be seen whether it bounces from here or from slightly lower, but it can still try to resume the previous momentum. I will not treat this market as a bearish one until it reaches somewhere around here near about 20,000, 23,500, and then it starts to break below that. Until then, this may still be bullish on higher time frames. Now, when I say bounce up, I'm not guaranteeing, I'm not seeing that the market may go all time high. That is still a possibility. The market is very bullish. It has seen COVID, it has seen elections, it has seen tariffs, it has seen everything, and it has also been just moving up, which means that market at this moment in time does not care much about the news and everything on the long term perspective. Okay, on smaller time frame, however, there was a huge movement to the downside, which we cannot deny. So what I'm suggesting that okay, even if it starts to go higher, it may not be be able to sustain the whole moment to the upside to the all-time high. That is a possibility. So what you should do, what I will be personally looking to do is okay, if it is a buy, if it is buy the dip opportunity, then I'll be monitoring this level where it is right now, which is going to be approximately 24,000. Now the market may go slightly lower or somewhere around this area because we have this previous support here as well. So this around area, this here, market may actually come around here or from where it is right now. If it gives me good momentum, if it gives me confirmation, I will try to join in for a long position. Now I will not be very sentimental about this, saying that I'm gonna hold it for an all-time high, because this is what I always say, that you should target one level and one zone at a time. So I will be taking the long from here if I get an opportunity, okay, because we are in a support area, whatever we call it, okay. So we buy at support and we sell at resistance. So if we are at a support, we look for a buy, Okay, if the market gives me a good confirmation, I'll take a buy, and I will take partials around here, this area or somewhere around here, and then I will leave part of the position if I see the price action is still validating or conforming to my hypothesis. Then I will simply leave part of the position for all-time highs. There are certain levels around here which are going to be interesting. There is a gap left, because of all this huge news, and the market may try to fill that gap up around this 24,800 approximately that area. I'll show you that in a minute if I can find it. So this is what Nasdaq looks like. This is still bullish. This was a correction. I know a lot of people on social media have made huge profits, and at the same time, majority have actually lost their accounts, right? They won't tell you that bit, but majority of them have actually lost their accounts. I was trading Nasdaq usually, as usual, in my New York session, and I was taking few points here. I did not hold the position because I wasn't expecting that. Nobody can expect the whole thing, right? In such an amount of time. If you found yourself on the right in the right direction, and if you made money, be grateful to the market, because it may or may not be like this all the time. Okay, so you do get lucky streaks in the markets, and we should be grateful for that. Okay, now what we can do is put 200 simple moving average on the chart, and we can see whether the market is trying to approach this. And we can see that on 8 hours time frame, the it's just still slightly far away. It's just 23,770 approximately. So it is still far away. I'm not suggesting that it may come there. I mean, it will come there, but it may try to go if it wants to continue this momentum in the coming week, and from here it can bounce. However, if I look at the other time frames, 6 hours it has reached, so we can expect some movement from here. 4 hours it has been able to break through it, however it has not performed a retest of it. So again, bullish movement can come here. 6 hours can bullish movement come here. 8 hours is saying that okay, we are in approximately in the same area, so it can. Now if I go to 2 hours time frame, the market was able to go through it very clearly, right? Very easily. But you see, every time this happens, the market usually comes back to 200 moving average like this. The market continued to go in one direction and then came back for a retest. So we can expect that market can try to go back up at least for a retest or at least for some correction, and that can be a good long opportunity. And here also, this is 1 hour time frame. So basically what I'm looking at is 4 hours time frame, 6 hours time frame, because they actually give me good perspective about 200 moving average right now. Okay, so this is 200. This is a Nasdaq. Now let's look at it on What and Research. I'm not sure whether you're aware of it, but What and Research is our proprietary software tool which helps you in analyzing the markets and also gives you um, uh, signals to enter the market, right? If you know exactly what you're doing, then you can use it for signal generation to enter trades. It gives you stop loss and target guidance as well. So what we can see is that it is kind of mixed at the moment on the monthly time frame, because we do not see that it is bullish at the moment here, but it can turn, because as you can see, it is trying to turn upwards. Here we have bullish, we had a buy signal here, and that buy signal so far has not reached any target yet. That target is actually around this area, approximately 26,090 or so, 26,000 26,200 approximately around there. So the market right now is still bullish. However, it is just taking a little correction to the downside, and which is a healthy one, because you see, for last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, it has just been going up. So this month it is trying to correct itself, which can be a good thing. Now, if I look at the weekly time frame, the market is turning bearish. It was already turning bearish when we were here. So from here, the market was simply living its life on extended period of time, and it is still bearish. However, it is bearish because we have bearishes, and we can see that there is a bearish volume that has just started to come in. That means the market is turning bearish on weekly, but that does not mean that market cannot go back up on smaller time frames, such as for a few hours, few days, the market can still try to go up. And besides that, although this is bearish, we do not see any red here. So far, this is bullish. We need all three, or at least majority of them, to confirm the direction. So at the moment, it is showing that it wanted to become bearish and it has started to become bearish, but it has not been confirmed fully. This is what it means. On the daily time frame, the market has been bearish. We have seen is red, and we had a huge volume here, and it has been able to reach this target here. Okay, now the next target is very far away. I'm not sure whether it will reach it, but it can. So what can happen is, because it has actually reached this target and it has come to the water and research curve here as well, the market may try to go back up a little bit because of 200 SMA that I showed you, and it is also in this channel, and market is overall bullish anyway, and this is the reason why the market can actually go for a little bit of upward correction, right, in just to correct that previous momentum. On here at 12 time frame, we still have like a huge target available here. So this target is still far away and it is beyond the daily time frame target. So if I go to smaller time frames, let's see what actually happened on 4 hour time frame. This was the sell signal which came, and this market hit this target on 4 hour time frame. As you can see, everything was bearish. Okay, now if I go to at 6 time frame, the market has been able to give this signal and it has been able to reach this white dot target. Okay, which is also fine. And if I look at the H8 market, H8 time frame, we can see that there was a sell signal and it has been able to reach this target and this target, both of them, which means that majority of the intraday targets have already been filled, although the fall was very prominent and it was very abrupt. But this was was supposed to happen anyway, and the market has been able to reach its target on intraday, which means that market can bounce up as well because the bearish targets have been met. Okay, so this is how you can actually look at this from analysis point of view as well. Now another thing that we can do in terms of analysis is we can draw Fibonacci from here all the way to this swing high, swing low, and we can see the market is sitting around 50% of this swing high and swing low. So, and it is also sitting at this previous support resistance area here right now, and we have 200 moving average. Now the only thing that market can do here is actually come down slightly lower to approximately this fib level and then bounce up. So we need to be careful about that, right? So this is the area where I'm looking for a good confirmation to enter long. However, if the market goes below this level and gives me an opportunity to sell, I will look for a sell. And as I said, after that, from this level onwards, the market can become bearish. So until then, the market is still bullish, and this can be a good opportunity. Now, this was NASDAQ. Now, let's see what other indices are doing. If I look at the Dow Jones, sorry, if I look at the S&P 500, you can clearly see on 6 hours time frame the market was not able to reach 200 moving average for a long period of time. The last time it happened was in the May 2025. So this time it has been able to reach it, which means that it can bounce up, and if S&P 500 is going to bounce, very likely Nasdaq is going to follow. And if I show you the 800 is still the same, right? It can come down slightly lower, pretty much like Nasdaq, and can bounce. So that is still a possibility. And 4 hours time frame, the market went through it, but it never went back for a retest. So that is also a possibility. Now in terms of fib, if I draw fib from the lowest point to the highest point, we are sitting at exactly at 61.8. That means the market can bounce up, which means the Nasdaq can also bounce up, but we'll have to wait for the right confirmation because of the geopolitical things, and also because the market momentum is too strong. So we'll have to see how it actually opens on Sunday night or Monday morning. Okay, now let's look at Dow Jones. On Dow Jones, pretty much like the same thing. If I go to 8 hours time frame, it is sitting exactly at 200 moving average, and you can see the market has not been able to test that since the May 2025, which means that market can push up. If I look at 6 hour, it has not been able to test. If I look at 4 hour, it has not been able to test so far. Again, similar sort of situation. So if I want to find the fib analysis, what I'll have to do is take the fib tool, draw from the lowest point to the highest point, and we are sitting at 50%. So let me show you very quickly. This one is sitting at 50%, but can go slightly lower, right, or even go to 61.8. This is Nasdaq, okay, NQ. And if I show you S&P 500, it is sitting at 200 moving average and 61.8, which means that this is right for the movement to the upside. However, if the market continues to fall, it can reach 78.6 as well. Okay, so beware of that, because if the market continues to stay bullish, it can go all the way down to this. Now, if the market, if let's go to Dow Jones, Dow Jones is sitting at 50%, which is looking very bullish. In my opinion, Dow Jones is more bullish at the moment than S&P 500 and Nasdaq. Now it remains to be seen whether I'm right or wrong. But in terms of technical analysis, which I see right now, it is looking much more bullish than Nasdaq and and US 500, right? So what my plan will be, okay, I'm going to wait for the market to open on Sunday night, and I will see if I can get an early confirmation. In FCP methodology, we have five confirmation techniques. I'll try to make use of them. The best of them, one is candlestick patterns, other one is what envisage. As I showed you, it can really help you with your entries and with also the analysis. So I'll wait for the market to give me some kind of signal like this. This was a sell signal. I'll be looking for a buy signal on smaller time frames as soon as the market opens. And if I see a momentum in there, I will start adding my positions in there, and I will also manage them wisely, one step at a time, one zone at a time. Okay, this was my analysis on indices, US indices. Hopefully you'll find it useful, and if you did, please make sure you hit the like button, share it with other traders and trading communities, subscribe to the channel, and send me your feedback. And I'll see you in the next one. Have a great trading week.
Thank you for watching. Find and follow us on these social media channels.